Hi, thanks for using my court coach. I'm Sarah, and I'll be your instructor today as we talk about the deposition subpoena for production of business records, also known as Form SUBP-010. As with all our court forms, you want to fill in your identifying case caption information at the top. Below that, you're going to list the name, address, and telephone number of the deponent who this form is being served upon. And then below that, you're going to give instructions on how that person is to produce the business records that you are seeking. You're going to include the name of a deposition officer. That can be either a professional photocopying service that you've hired. It can be an attorney who is not an attorney to this case. It can be a government employee who is authorized to accept those kind of records as part of his duties. So any of those three can be your deposition officer. Then you want to state that the date the response is due, where the response is to be served, the address, and time. Below that, you're going to mark how you want these documents to be delivered. Most commonly, what I use is 1A, which is to have the deponent provide the documents in a sealed envelope that is also contained within another sealed envelope and mailed to the deposition officer listed above. You can also have them select 1B to have them deliver a copy of the business records to the deposition officer upon receipt of payment in cash or by check for the reasonable cost of preparing the documents. Or C, you can arrange to have you pick up the documents from the deposition or the deponent and have them permit copying at their business location. The records are to be produced no sooner than 20 days after issuance of the deposition subpoena or 15 days after service. There is a separate video in which we talk about the notice to consumer or employee and objection form. If there is a notice to consumer that also needs to be served as part of this process, then you want to tally in those days as well in determining what is your date of production. Below in 3, you want to describe the documents that you're seeking. If this is not enough space, you can always add an attachment. If you're doing so, mark continued on attachment 3. Then finally, you want to print your name at the bottom, sign and date, and then if you have a title, you can fill that in as well. You don't need to fill that in. Next, you're going to have your process server fill out the back part. Most deposition subpoenas are to be served by personal service. If you've called the deponent and they've indicated they prefer another method, then you can go ahead and use that method. Otherwise, assume that this should be served by personal service. So you're going to have your process server who's age 18 and above and not a party to this case, list the name of the person served, the address where served, date of delivery, time of delivery, if you paid your process any money to do the service. Then you would want to include that in 1F. If there's any money paid in advance for either the deponent's labor or copying fees, then you can fill that information in E1 or E2. And then the person serving needs to list their what type of process server they are. If it's a friend and family member, most likely it's going to be 3A, not a registered California process server. If it's a sheriff or marshal, they would fill in 3B. If it's a registered process server, in other words, someone that you've hired that it has been registered by the state of California, they actually can fill in the rest of this form, but they can mark box 3C. If it's an employer, independent contractor of a registered server, again, they can fill in 3D and fill out the rest of this form. If it's an attorney, they can mark box 3E. If it is a registered professional photocopy service, they would mark box 3F. And again, if we have a government employee who is serving this as part of his duties, then they can mark 3G. Your process server will then list their name, address, and telephone number. And if they are a registered process server, their county of registration and number. They will sign and date at the bottom. If it's a California sheriff or marshal, they will sign and date on the right-hand side. And now this form is ready to go out for service. I hope you found this helpful. Good luck.